How about yourself?
Doing good.
Good.
I'll start it out. Just how much has your job changed, and what's it like to not have Jeff out here anymore?
You know, I'd say in terms of the job, not much has changed. You know, I think the real impact is when we get to the season. With that, you know, with the Jeff's responsibilities there. But I tell you what, it's refreshing. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I just watched Tyler Grisham. You know, watching his enthusiasm, his passion, and just his appreciation for his opportunity. It's kind of put things in perspective for me too. So not a whole lot has changed. And then, you know, with Streeter becoming the passing game coordinator, he's kind of absorbed some of those responsibilities that Jeff would have in the spring. So, you know, we're excited to have Grish on board, to be structured the way we are. And the biggest thing for us, we don't want to disrupt the chemistry. I think what's made us successful, you know, when Jeff and I was here, was that we had good chemistry amongst the entire staff. So it wasn't just me and Jeff. It was Robbie, it was Danny, you know, it was everybody in the support role as well. So the chemistry, that's the biggest thing that I'm worried about, is just making sure the chemistry is there. So that means that I can't make it about a new job for me, because it's really we're gonna operate the same. Just some of the responsibility of transition.
After X amount of years, this is probably the wrong word, but you had a guy by your side sharing responsibilities. Now it's you. Is it a rebirth for you professionally in some ways? I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I'm getting at in that regard.
I don't know if it would be a rebirth. Again, you know, as I said before, you know, Jeff and I, we had talked about this before. This was something that he really wanted to do, and so I knew a time was coming. And so you prepare yourself in your mind for this to happen. But at the same time too, when we transitioned from Chad to Jeff and myself, we never made it about us. So it's never really been about us. We just figured out, okay, this is how we need to be structured. This is the work that has to get done. Here's how we're going to divvy it up, and then everybody, you know, be the best at your role at what you do. And so we'll just figure out that responsibility Jeff had. We'll just kind of divvy it up, and I may have to accept some more responsibility. But really, that won't come to life until we actually get to the season. But you know, really excited for him. You know, I recruit Tampa, so I kind of got my ear to the ground down there, and just the things that I'm hearing of the way that he's going about his business down there, and the way he's got that fan base energized, and you know, his presence in the community. Just so excited for him, and I can't wait to get on the road just to get down there and actually see it.
You mentioned the game day chemistry and responsibilities. What about game day? Is Brandon going to stay on the field? Is going to put
you know, we'll
up in the box?
We'll figure that out as we get closer to the season. You know, typically, as we get into fall camp, we start to have some of the scrimmages. You know, where we try to do it as close to game day. That's something we think about this summer as we go into all-in meetings with Coach Sweeney. He'll have his input, but for right now, we're just focusing on spring practice. And as we get deeper into the summer, we'll figure out exactly how we're organized. But I don't plan on coming down.
Tony, I'm sure you were thrilled to have Travis back. What was that like? And then Lynn J as well. What was his reaction? What were your conversations like?
You know, with Travis, you know, the biggest thing for me, I just wanted to make sure that I educate him from my best understanding of what is ahead. And then the decision was up to him. And really wasn't surprised, you know, either way. Just being around Travis, I know what kind of young man he is, how much he cares about being a leader in his family, how much he cares about his education. You know, and you know where he values football. You know, he's a great football player. He loves the game, but he doesn't have it out of perspective. So to have a guy like that come back as a coach, you know, it's you know, makes you a better coach. Trust me. But you know, for some of them younger guys, they had to make a decision. You know, because a lot of those guys came here, you know, thinking that, hey, he's probably going to transition, you know, after 3 years, and then I'm going to have an opportunity to compete. And Lynn J was one there. You know, Lynn J is a young man that, you know, comes from a different background. You know, down in Butler, Georgia, and you know, is really just kind of figuring out life. And he's a guy that's very competitive, wants to play, and you know, he was geared up for his opportunity to naturally step into the role. And actually, it was kind of. You know, it was kind of awkward because I was talking to Lynn J, you know, and I didn't know what Travis was going to do, and then he called me, and that's when he told me right there, and I let Lynn J know, and I said, you just got to make a decision. But you're really, really proud of him, because the easiest thing to do would to be pack up his bags and to move on. But he decided, you know what, I'm going to step back, I'm going to mature and grow and see it as an opportunity to play with a pro, to learn how to prepare like a pro, you know, and just really take advantage of his opportunity and not worry so much about the quantity of the reps that I get, but just focus on the quality. So really, really proud of seeing his maturity, you know, as he's gone through the spring. And he's had a different mindset, different look in his eye. You know, he's really ready to go challenge and compete.
Coach Sweeney was saying the center position is going to be pretty fluid with Cade Stewart and Blake Vincent and some other guys you're cross-training. It's been a while since that's been the case for you at center. How interesting is that going to be?
Well, you know, last year going into it, it was Pollard or Gage, you know, so it was kind of fluid with those two guys, and then Pollard solidified it. And naturally, you would think that Cade, being the most veteran guys, actually played and started at that position, you know, in competition, that he would be the guy. And obviously, his schedule's a little bit different this spring with just some of the younger guys. But we're going to need as many as we can have, you know, ready to go, because you're one injury away from. And then again, it may be a situation where one of those guys steps up and K may be better served at the guard position. That's what the spring is all about, figuring out as many guys as we can get snapping the ball to give us flexibility, and then as we progress through the spring, when we really start to back off of the insulation and let the guys play, we'll know how it's going to sort out with the best 5.
You had a scrimmage today?
A little bit. It was more situational. Situational, where we're just trying to get the guys thinking about football. Certain scripted things where okay, we're 1st and 10. We're just trying to get 4 yards. Then we got maybe a 2nd down, play the 3rd down. So it was more situational. And as we go and progress, then we'll completely get off the field and let it be more like a game.
Tony, when you self-evaluated during the offseason, what are some areas you found you need to work on?
3rd down. We weren't very good those last 2 games in 3rd down. In particular, 3rd and 3. And overall, our percentage wasn't there. And then when you dive down 3rd and 3, we weren't as good as we needed to be. 3rd and 5. We were really good on 3rd and 6, so that 3rd and medium area. And then in short yardage, we didn't hit our goal of 75%. We were about 68%. And when we broke it down, we were really good running the football. Took some chances throwing the football, so we learned we probably need to hand the ball to Travis a little bit more. So in them short yardage situations, if we want to convert, but you want to mix it up. You don't want to be one-dimensional. So again, just opportunities to improve there in the red zone. When you dial it back, our touchdown percentage in the red zone, is really, really good. But we had a turnover in the red zone. We missed a couple field goals, and then we had a couple in-the-game situations where we didn't convert when we went for it. So those were some of the biggest things. And then we have some tendencies that naturally you would when you're pretty good on offense. You're going to have some tendencies, but we got to work hard to make sure that we break some of those tendencies. But when you step back and we didn't finish the way we wanted to finish, offensively, but when you step back and you look at it, man, we accomplished a lot of things, but those were the areas we're really, really going to hit hard. And then tempo, playing fast. And around here, we've always tried to get 80 plays. But the last couple of years, we've been around 72. Now, we're a lot more explosive than when we had those 80 plays. So we want to try and find that happy medium to where we can get that snap count up without jeopardizing our efficiency and our explosiveness.
Any of these mid-years guys? As far as the approach and maybe the way Justin Ross is handling things now that he's not only the most accomplished guy on the field coming back, but really along with Amari, the leaders in that wide receiver.
No doubt. I think that Ross realizes, after going through 2 seasons, that he's not necessarily where he wants to be. He's a guy that still has a ceiling. He still has a lot of potential to grow. As a very, very electric, very, very dynamic, but still has room to improve and to be polished. And now with T moving on, he's naturally going to take that boundary spot, which is a little bit different than where he was in the field. So now he has to transition back there. And then Amari is a guy that's coming off of injury and hoping that, as he just continues to get that spring back in his step, we'll have more ways to get him involved. But biggest thing for those guys is they're not the leaders in that room. It's their room. They got a new coach, so they got to figure out. So it's always some different dynamics. And then he had an opportunity to go up to the combine as one of those young guys that gets to see, the combine before it happens for him. And he realizes that if you want to be a pro, you got to start preparing like a pro now, right? Because if you don't know how to be a pro by the time you get there, it's almost too late.
Any of these mid-year guys flash to you?
Man, they all at times are flashing. You start with the offensive line. Obviously, you just look at them. It's like, okay, that's what we want them to look like coming in. But again, they're swimming, and for them, in fairness to them, they're second team right now. They're in there, and BV. You don't slow down the installation for a second team offensive lineman. They're a freshman, so everything is spinning for them. But you can see their bodies, the way that they move. You can tell that they got a good foundation. I'm just trying to think. EJ, EJ is another guy that's very, very fluid. Still a lot to learn, but you can tell. It's almost a spitting image of Ross, probably a step faster than Ross from what I can tell, from what I've seen. Sage, Sage is a tough guy. Just really, really been pleased with his toughness and his willingness to get in there and mix it up. Just trying to think. Oh, and DJ. I was telling somebody the other night. It's like, okay, I was here with Taj. Man, it's like, okay, well then Deshaun's like, man, then Trevor, and then you see an arm like DJ's. It's just it's unbelievable the way these young quarterbacks are coming in just from a poise standpoint. He's so poised in the pocket. Now he's still got a lot to learn, but I tell you what, we didn't know how it was going to go. Tyson a year ago in this situation was struggling with some of the motions and whatnot, but DJ just looks calm and collected, and when that ball comes off his hands, it comes off.
You moved Taquan Johnson over to the offensive side. You had a lot of success with that with Gage and Tyler Shatley years ago. How do you think his future looks as an offensive lineman?
I think just from a couple days, just watching him. That's probably the best move for him. Very powerful. Looks like he's picking up concepts pretty good. But when he gets his hands on you, and he moves well too, it's a situation where I think with his skill set on the offensive line is really, really going to help him going forward because he can move, change direction, and he's probably the most powerful guy that we have. now it'll just be a function of picking up the concepts and then being able to do things in real time.
Tight end was not a big part of the receiving game last year, but I'm watching him walk off the field the other night, with Davis and Jalen Way, and Braden's back. Expect to see that.
Definitely, and that was an area, as you look at the self-scout, that over the last couple of years, the production there. Now, the running back kind of carried that, so it kind of transitioned to Travis and Linjay's, evolution as receivers. But when we're at our best is when we can stay in that base personnel and we can really, really stretch the field, with all 4 receivers on the field, as the tight end being one of them. So excited about their growth. And so with Braden being back and now, Davis being a year older, that's going to push Chalk. And then now you got, like I said, Sage has come in and, he wants to try and compete, so that's going to push Jalen Way. So really, really excited with the bodies that we have there, and I think it's probably overall, from a talent, top to bottom, probably the best group of tight ends that we have now. We just got to get them all ready to go function in all situations.
Seems like depth at wide receiver is somewhere you're looking at this year. Is somebody like a Brandon Spector, where's he at right now in the development?
Spec was a guy that we purposely held that red shirt, but he was a guy that because we had depth last year, we didn't want to burn that year. But he flashed last year, so he's a guy that we're counting on. And the good thing for him is he's so versatile. He's not truly a true slot body. So he's big enough to go play outside, and then he has the strength and the quickness to be able to play all 3 positions for us. So as we go forward, we're going to need all those guys because we might not have just the total number of guys, but we're going to have good quality depth.
We talked a lot about Ngana last year, but what do we need to know about Frank Ladson, and what are you guys looking for in that competition as they look to kind of separate?
With Frank, he's a guy that just in our building has drawn some comparisons to Martavis Bryant, just because he's so big and so fast. He's a guy that's got that Sammy type of explosiveness. Probably maybe not quite Sammy, but he's got some really, really good explosiveness, and he got some jets. And I think what happened to him last year is just, like any typical freshman, like you get down toward the end of the season and that monkey jumps on your back and you're just kind of, let me get to next year. But now he understands